Yesterday, OpenAI released Operator, which is a browser controller using ChatGPT. And I was so excited to try and use it since I had done something like this in the past. And I clicked on Go to Operator, and it said to me, wah, wah, you need GPT Pro to use this. I don't have GPT Pro, and I want to spend $200 on it. So I looked at the history of all of these browser controllers, and I'm going to give you a quick way to develop your own. And you can actually use Olama, but in my case, I'm going to use Gemini, just because I don't want to wait for responses in this video. That might take a lot longer with my available memory. So let's get started. So I've prepared a little bit of code here. This is by no means done, but I wanted to let you know about my progress on it. And I'm going to walk you through all the code, which is a little different than I normally do. This particular code, I feel like the entire world should have this. This is not something that's OpenAI exclusive. I went to Gemini, and I started asking some questions because I knew Gemini can already do this, as to how to incorporate a basically a user input automation function. So you can see my conversation with Gemini went quite a bit. We don't have to look through all of this, but I came down to using pyautogui, which I'd used before, and started to look through okay, actions with pyautogui, how I can do these various things. And first thing I did was try them all. So click, move, etc. And then I thought about, well, perfect controller for something like this is Lang graph. Lang graph, I can kind of ensure that I've performed an action, when I say I'm going to perform an action. So here's some pyautogui actions. And what I can do is say, especially the one that's temperamental is move to. So the idea is I'm going to take a screenshot, and every time I take a screenshot, I'm going to look and see what has happened at that point in time or what's on the screen. And so this is the instruction I gave it. I'm going to give you step-by-step instructions that are available with pyautogui, and you tell me, whether you perform those steps or not. And the idea is that when we take a screenshot, we're going to give some instruction or just ask a question, and then move on from there. So we had this conversation, myself and Gemini, and started using some of that within my own application, not all of it. But we're going to walk through the code as it exists so far, and then there will be a part 2 to this because this probably will get very long winded, and we don't want to do that. So first part is you're going to get your import statements. We're going to create a Flask app, Google Gemini. You need to install this package, which I'm not going to go over that. Pretty simple. And then I usually load my access keys in env files and then load them. So here we have that. This is a Flask app. I did that because I just wanted output to the screen pretty reasonably. And I'm using Gemini 2.0 Flash. And then what we're really doing is, after I ask a question, and I'm going to show the HTML file, ask a question, I'm going to go off and capture the screen. Once I've captured the screen, I'm going to save it somewhere. In this case, just, I thought I created a screenshots folder. Yeah, I did. So I don't know why. Oh, I was looking at but I have this screenshots folder now, and not this kind of generic just place. And then you know I also have this option that's kind of not working yet, but I'll get it to work. But where it says if I've asked for a specific screen, go off and get that screen. Otherwise, capture the entire screen. That's not working yet. Also, didn't put any effort into making it work. I'm going to resize the image, and then I'm going to get the generative AI response to what's in the image based on my question. Here's the Flash experimental that I'm using, Gemini. I'm going through this code specifically because I want you to copy it and use it on your own and improve it, obviously, and those kinds of things. And then from there, essentially, I'm going to take in that question. I'm going to get the response. I'm going to add that response to history. So this is context history. And so you can ask more and more questions about this. Now this is kind of deceiving because it says LangChain Gemini. But as I experiment, once I have something working, I tend to create a new file and experiment further. I don't work on the same file again. So this version of this particular function, I am going to add LangChain to it, which I have not yet. Okay, so moving on. So I get back that the user wants to do some commands like move to press, those kinds of things. And then from there, we handle the command and we actually do the thing and then respond to the user. I moved the mouse. Obviously we need to do, I clicked, I typed, I opened in the case of being able to open sub processes, etc., and moving on. And then the only other thing of interest is there's different platforms supported. So there's Windows, Linux, and Mac, and that's it. So this is fairly simple. Let me show you it moving and working, and then it's already running here. Let's just latch onto that and say something like, what do you see? See a web browser, Chrome, open on this web page. It's titled blah, 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 blah. And to browser Windows. Yeah, okay. So it's showing what it sees in current time, January 24th, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now if I said something like, move mouse to 400, 300, click on send, you notice what it did is it moved the mouse. And I touched nothing. I'm sorry, you can't see my hands, but it moved the mouse. And that is step 2 to making this all work. What OpenAI does, and I'm going to let's call it a cheaty way of doing this. What they're doing is putting the entirety of the browser inside of this canvas window. And by doing that, they constrain the problem to just their window. So even if you resize that window, it knows exactly about the size of the window. It doesn't really care about your fidelity of your machine, whether you're running a screen that's ultra wide or whatever it might be. It doesn't care. So, and one way we can handle this is we can go look at, okay, what is the available screen real estate, and do the math to make the mouse move just that much. Or another way we can deal with this, which is, I think, a much more simple and less elegant fashion of doing something like this, is continuously check mouse position as we've given it some instructions. So we can say something like, all right, I think I want you to open Blender and click on new file. Well, my Blender window might be on my other screen way over here. And so then I can say like open Blender, and in the context of the Blender window, if you find it, click on file, or I can just keep taking screenshots and saying, okay, this is where the mouse is right now. Move it over here, move it over here, move it over here, until you actually get to that place. And that's obviously a less elegant solution, but the idea is it gets you to the point of doing things beyond just the browser window. Microsoft, I want to say this one thing, because while this seems cool, Microsoft did this like months ago. Browser control. Where is it? I can't find. Of course, I can't find it now that I'm saying Microsoft did this thing. But basically, Microsoft released a model. Microsoft ML model browser. Of course not. Just because I'm looking for something last minute. But anyway, so Microsoft built this essentially something that a model that can identify parts of a browser, like what's going on specifically, how to click buttons, those kinds of things. And they did that like a few months ago. So this really, what we're trying to accomplish is not just browser control, but whole desktop control using generative AI. So the next steps, and if you follow along with my various video series, I apologize, it's not specifically about robotics, but it is close to robotics, because what we're trying to do is move a physical thing with generative AI. So the next step from here would be to say, okay, I want to create, say, a part using SolidWorks or Fusion 360. And then I can say something like, open up Fusion 360 and then create a file, those kinds of things. Or I can just give it high-level instructions, like using a reasoning model that can return a set of ordered instructions, and then use LangChain and LangGraph to ensure that the steps are being followed. So I think in the next one, in this little a mini series, I will start to use LangChain and LangGraph to move the mouse to specific positions, and then I'll also use it again to try to reason to how to open. Let's try to open Fusion 360 and build a part. So there'll probably be 3 parts to this, because the next one I'm going to use one of these models to tell me how to do something, and I'm going to put that into pydantic. That'll probably be in the next one. And then the one following that, we'll try to open up an application and follow a series of steps. All right, this is fairly long, so I'm going to chop it here, and see you in the next one.